inducted into the Winnipeg Blue Bomber Hall of Fame, being inducted to the Manitoba Hall. Man, it's such an honor, and I have a smile on my face. And it, like as you mentioned, it's hard to rank them all because they're all so outstanding, all so great. But I mean, I cherish each and every one of them. It means so much to me, every single day I'm thankful for it. I pat myself on the back because I had to do some work, but there are a lot of other individuals whose shoulders that I had to stand on to get to this point. So I'm as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. Every single time I get to come back to the city of Winnipeg, it's a smile on my face because I say this is not my second home. This is my other home. And if it wasn't for the cold weather and the mosquitoes in the summer and my wife not enjoying cold weather, we may be living in Winnipeg. But I mean, it's such a special place for me. It has a special place in my heart, and I'm excited about the moment, and I just enjoy every single moment that I'm honored when I'm back in Winnipeg.
Milt, it was in your Canadian Football Hall of Fame speech where you talked about how Paul Jones was the one, I believe, who kind of scouted you and kind of went to bat for you to bring you up to Winnipeg in the first place. Just what can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, it was when I had spent 3 years with the Cincinnati Bengals. Then my contract was up and I signed with the Green Bay Packers. And I sustained an injury like the first day of training camp. So by the time I got healthy, evaluations were over. So I knew they were going to release me. And after that, I thought my football career was over. But Paul Jones was scouting at the camp. And like 2 days after I got the release, he reached out to my agent and said, we have his rights. Would you like to come up to Canada? So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. My agent said, were you Winnipeg? And I was like, what in the heck is a Winnipeg? I had no idea what a Winnipeg was. So he told me they had my rights. I came up, and the head coach at the time, Kyle Murphy, was a little skeptical because he said I didn't have the speed, but Paul Jones, he sold him to me. And as they say, the rest is history. So I'm always thankful for that because, as I said, it only changed my football life. It just changed my life in general. September of 1995. I don't remember the exact day, but that month is something that's truly embedded in my history for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, I'm kind of testing your memory here, Milt, but I think it was in that month you had your first career game. I think you replaced Fred Ward in a game at home against Calgary.
It wasn't at home. No, it was in Calgary. It was in Calgary.
It was in Calgary? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that one?
I remember it. Because I remember I was returning punts that game, and I didn't know exact. They didn't tell me all the rules, so I'm back there returning a punt. And I'm actually fair catching it, and luckily there was a guy back there. Shannon Baker was screaming, "You can't fair catch it." We ended up getting crushed that game, but I had a decent game, and I remember scoring my first touchdown. Kevin McDougal threw me like a 8-9 yard out route, and I took it in. So I always say if I write a book about my football career and the CFL is going to be from Kevin to Kevin, because Kevin McDougal threw me our first touchdown pass and Kevin Glenn threw me my last touchdown pass. So, no, I remember that day in September in Calgary. Doug Flutie and Alan Pitts was on that team. We ended up getting crushed. We ended up actually playing them the next week after that. So there are a lot of great memories that I have in that Winnipeg Blue Bomber uniform.
I'll step back and let someone else ask a question, but thanks, Milt. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Just jumping back in, Milt, from going from not even knowing what a Winnipeg was there one moment that sticks out where, you were like, this is the place where I'm going to commit my career to? Because it's so rare nowadays that an athlete sticks to a franchise and a community like you did.
Well, it happened in 1997. And I know a lot of people were down on this individual, but head coach Jeff Reinbold, he told me something that changed my career. He was like, he told me that you're a leader because what you do, the way you carry yourself, you're a professional. But I want you to be a leader, being more vocal. Understand that this is your team. This can be your town. You can be the man, but you need to be more vocal. And that from that day on, that changed the way I approached the game as far as being a leader in every way possible, as far as making sure guys were held accountable and not being a vocal person as far as saying malicious things or putting guys down, but understanding that I need to be that guy who made sure guys were doing what they needed to be. So from that moment on, I took the bull by the horns, per se, and said, this is going to be my team and this is going to be my town. I'm going to do everything possible to make sure those things come to fruition. So Jeff Reinbold, I won't say he's my favorite coach. I didn't have him long enough, but he definitely had a big impact on the way I approached the game from 1997, basically till the day I retired in 2008.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'll jump in and ask another one. Milt, obviously you played with some really good receivers. I think 2000 you had Rob Gordon, Albert Johnson, G. Roy Simon. The next year you had Arlen Bruce. But what if you had to stack, maybe your best year with your teammates? How would that group maybe stack up with the current Blue Bombers with guys like Dalton Schoen, Nick Dembski, Kenny Lawler? Because this year's group is also pretty darn special.
Those guys were good, but you're talking about Hall of Famer, maybe two of the best receivers who's ever stepped on the CFL field. And I'm not bragging, but you asked, so I'm going to let you know. And myself and G. Roy Simon and another individual who should be a Hall of Famer, Arlen Bruce, but he probably won't get in for political reasons, and Robert Gordon. But I understand that group of guys now, they're very good. But it takes longevity to be considered great. And I think they'll get there, but until they do, I played with some awesome individuals. As you mentioned, G. Roy and Robert and A.J. Johnson and Jamie Stoddard and Arlen, all these guys were great. Not good, they were great. Now, they have some guys on that team now, and Schoen and Lawler, Wolotarski, and those guys, they can play. But I need to see a few more years before I just say they are great. They're good, but give me a few more years before I say they're great. But as I alluded to, you're talking about myself and G. Roy Simon, two of the top receivers who ever stepped on the CFL field. So they may get there, but it's going to take a little bit longer before I can say they are there.
Fair enough. And just one more on this current team, good chance that they're going to clinch the West, obviously. What's your prediction for the 2023 Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
They better win it, because I predicted they were going to win at the beginning of the year. I said they were old, and I said after this year they were going to make some changes, but I think they'll find a way to win it. I think they'll avenge their defeat last year to the Toronto Argonauts and pull out a overtime win this year. It's going to be a tough task. Those Argonauts are tough. They have Chad Kelly. That defense is excellent, maybe the best in the league right now, but I think those Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with their veteran presence and their great head coach, will find a way to squeak it out. But they have to be hitting on all cylinders. They still have to win a game to make sure that they do win the West, but I think they will do that, and I think they'll win the West. And as I just mentioned, I think they'll avenge their loss to Toronto Argonauts in the Grey Cup Classic game this year in Hamilton.
Well, seeing as no one else is jumping in, I'll have one final question for you, Milt, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but just, what are the moments, if you can even isolate it down to one, that really stick out that you look back on fondly of your career with the Blue Bombers?
Oh, it's the last second catch, 2006 in Edmonton. That play right there. I'm joking, but I'm serious when I say this. Not only the greatest play in my football career, but maybe the greatest play in football history. Just everything that went into that play. Us just needing a matter of yards to seal the victory, and unfortunately Kevin fumbling, and them getting the ball back and scoring a touchdown and getting the 2-point conversion, them kicking it off to us, and then we're getting a holding penalty. I actually remember it was Jamie Stoddard, if I'm correct, that got the holding penalty, and then Kevin Glenn throwing a great pass to me with 4 seconds left, needing 100 yards to score the touchdown with no time left. That play right there stands out to me more than any play I ever made in my football life. And I started playing football when I was 4 and played all the way to the time when I was retired when I was 39. And that play right there, if I don't remember anything, if I happen to catch amnesia when I'm old or whatever it may be, I will always remember that play. That will stand out to me more than anything I've ever done in my football career. So if I have to pick one, it's definitely that play in Edmonton in 2006.
That's a pretty good one. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Milt, it's Ed. Sorry for joining us late, and apologies if you've
Hold
been
on.
asked.
Who is this? I don't know this. Who is this guy?
Just some guy in a cell here, it looks like. Congrats, Milt.
Thank you.
Apologies if you were asked this earlier, but can you talk about your first impressions, the first moment you got to Winnipeg, and then how it morphed into this amazing connection between you and this town?
I won't lie, it was tough when I first got there. I had no idea about the CFL. I had been to Toronto and Montreal, so I thought everywhere in Canada, being a uneducated American at the time, I thought everywhere was like Toronto or Montreal. Then I get to Winnipeg, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's all flat. There's no expressways, no traffic. I'm like, what is going on? And right when I get off the plane, I'm thinking I'm going to go take a physical. Then I get a couple of days. I get off the plane. Brad Foddy gives me a uniform. I'm practicing on a turf. Cal Murphy is screaming at me because I have on a long shirt. You don't need that long shirt on. It's not cold enough. So I'm like, hold on. What have I gotten myself into here? But as the weeks went on, as the years went on, as I said earlier, best decision I ever made. Besides marrying my wife and my wife having my beautiful sons, me signing in Winnipeg of September of 1995 is the best decision I ever made. Not just for my football life, but for my life in general. It changed me, changed everything I am, everything I have to the better every single day. And it's still impacting me to this day. And I've been retired for almost 16 years. So yes, it was tough at the beginning, but me staying there, sticking it out is the best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing ever.
Milt, you've had to do a few of these Hall of Fame speeches over your career. Who do you think of in moments like this? I know that you've spoken in the past about your mom and your dad, but like, who do you think of in these moments?
Still my mother and my father, and of course my wife and kids. But a lot of it is my father. A lot of people ask, where do you get your mindset, your work ethic, the way you approach things from? And that's all from my father. My father came from nothing, and I thought we were rich when we were younger. I didn't realize we were struggling because my father provided me and my four older siblings and my mother with everything. And it's because he literally worked himself to death. But seeing him work himself to death with nothing and providing me with everything I have made me realize that if I'm not successful in everything I do, something is wrong, because he was able to do it with nothing and he provided me with all this. So there's no reason for me not to go out there and give it my all with everything I have. So I owe everything to what my father instilled in me, what he embedded in me, and not what he said to me, what I saw him do for the 18 years he was here for my life. So every time, these moments pop up, of course, there's other individuals that come to mind, but he's the first one that comes to mind because of the way he lived his life every single day.
You still believe in the 6 guarantees of life?
Come on, Ed. Come on, Ed. Come on. They're still true. Death, taxes, and trouble. I'm going to always look good. I'm going to always be on time, which you weren't today, and I'm going to always be in shape. Now, if those things don't hold true, you'll be getting the invitation to my funeral. That means I'm dead. So the 6 guarantees will always hold true to the day I die.
All right. Sorry for being late, and thanks for making me laugh.
For anyone who joined a little later, there's no rhyme or reason here. Have at her with your questions. Thank you.
I'll ask one final one. Just jumping back to what Kurt asked you, Milt, about also your famous touchdown in Edmonton. As you were lining up on that last play, did you kind of know what was going to happen? Did you like, oh, this is the defense that they're playing? Oh boy, we're going to make them pay, or what were your thoughts as you lined up on that play?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because the previous play before that, I came back to the huddle and Kevin and I looked at each other like, did you see what they just did? Now, I didn't think, I'd be lying if I said I think I was going to score, but it's like, did you see the defense they're trying to play on us? Like, what is going on? Kevin Glenn and I both looked at each other like, wow, but I never thought in my wildest dreams that I was going to have an opportunity to do that. So many things had to line up perfectly for that play to happen. Of course, it started with Kevin making a great throw, offensive line giving him enough time. And let's be honest, the defensive backs just being some boneheads on that play. But it all started with the defense they were playing. And as I alluded to, Kevin and I, we came back to the huddle, looked at each other like, wow, look at that. We never said we're going to score, we have a chance. We just said, wow, we can't believe they're doing that. So when it did happen, we said to each other, well, hey, we did have a chance. Our intuitions, our spidey senses were correct. So, I was just fortunate to be the one catching the ball. There are a lot of individuals who were involved in making that play possible. But as I alluded to, I was just happened to be the one who was catching it, and was very happy about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Milt. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hi, Milt. My name is Daisy with Global News in Winnipeg. Nice to meet you online. Today I heard you talk about loyalty, determination, work ethic, longevity, and you speak with such passion. What are some of the traits and characteristics that it takes to get where you are today? What are the morals that have come in clutch for you?
Well, the most important one is discipline. Everything is a byproduct of discipline. Sometimes when I'm giving people, speeches, I always tell them, day to day, doing the same thing every single day, discipline is a superpower not too many humans have. It's so difficult. Waking up every morning and doing something that it's not comfortable. It's hard. It's going to be challenging. People may look at you differently. That is a superpower not many people have. And I don't know if you were listening to earlier when I was talking to Ed, I was saying, I get a lot of that from my father. I saw him do that every single day of my life. My father did that, doing things that were difficult, doing things that were uncomfortable to make sure that his family was taken care of, to make sure his family was comfortable. So that was instilled in me at a young age. And that why I was able and continue to be able to do the things I do, because yes, I know these things are uncomfortable. Yes, I know they may be difficult, but I know they're going to pay off in the long run. There's a saying that goes, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Just doing what needs to be done right now may be difficult, but looking back on life 10, 15, 20 years later and saying, I wish I would have did those things when I had an opportunity, is even more tougher. So that's the number one rule. That's the only rule. If you have that rule instilled in you, you can get through anything.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I'll give you a last chance for questions. We do have some time left. If anyone else has got anything pressing.
You can ask me anything. Ask me the type of makeup I wear when I'm on TV, anything.
I thought you were the prettiest guy in the room. Why do you need makeup?
Well, I don't actually wear, I appreciate it. Appreciate your honesty. I actually don't wear makeup. It's a lot of
Those are your words, no. Those are your words.
No, well, it's not actually makeup. It's anti-shine because, there's a lot of lighting going on and I have real oily skin. So, and when you're a star like myself, you're always shining. So they put a lot of anti-shine on me. Yeah. So that's what it is. No makeup, just a lot of anti-shine.
Okay, that'll be my headline for this story. Appreciate it.
There we go.
Okay, well, it seems like that's it. We recorded today's session so we can send this out to you guys afterwards if you need it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thanks, Milt, so
Yes.
much for your time today. It was wonderful.
No, thank you. Thanks for everyone joining. Thank you guys very much.